I woke up to the sound of someone crying beside me. When I opened my eyes, I saw a broken-down house, cracked mud walls, a leaky roof, and old furniture. A young woman in rough clothes sat next to me, wiping her tears. At first, I didn't understand what was happening. Then memories came rushing into my head, and I realized the truth. I had traveled to another world. The last thing I remembered was staying up late playing a game, and now I was here, in the body of a young hunter also named Qin Feng, living in a small mountain village in the Great Qin dynasty. This world was nothing like home. There were man-eating monsters, powerful warriors, and endless wars. Life for ordinary people was miserable. The woman beside me was Lin Shui, my wife in this world. She was kind and gentle, and she had taken care of me for 3 days while I was unconscious. When she saw me awake, her face lit up, and she brought me a bowl of porridge. It was mostly just hot water with a few grains of rice, but it warmed me up. As I ate, I pieced together what had happened. The local landlord, Master Huang, wanted my wife for himself. To get rid of me, he made my father disappear in the mountains. Then he sent me into a dangerous area where I ran into a monster and nearly died. Before long, someone banged on our door. It was Wang Hu, the leader of the village hunting team and one of Master Huang's men. He smirked when he saw me alive and tried to trick me into selling my hunting permit. That permit was my only way to make a living, so I refused. He left with a warning. The hunting tax was due soon, and I had better pay up. After he left, I asked Shui how much money we had. She told me, 33 coins. That was almost nothing. The tax deadline was less than half a month away, and hunting barely covered our food as it was. Shui started to mention Master Huang's offer, but I stopped her. I knew what kind of man he was. He collected women like objects, and none of them ended up well. I told her I would find a way myself. But the truth was, I had no idea what to do. Master Huang had guards, thugs, and even a real martial artist working for him, someone strong enough to break stones with his bare hands. I was just an ordinary hunter. How could I fight against that? I drank the rest of the porridge in one gulp, trying to calm myself. I needed to get my strength back first, and then figure out a plan. The warm porridge spread through my body, and I started to feel a little better. But just as I finished the last sip, I froze. A glowing panel appeared right in front of my eyes, floating in the air. Just as I was staring at the glowing panel, I started to understand what it meant. It was some kind of system. It tracked my skills and let me grow stronger through hard work. Every time I practiced or even ate food, I could gain points and level up. For someone like me, with no money and no resources, this was exactly what I needed. My stats were low. My strength was below average. My speed wasn't great, and I had no cultivation or special talents. But none of that mattered now. I had a way to improve. I told Shui to go buy some rice and a little meat from the village shop. Then I grabbed my bow and went out to the yard to practice. My neighbor, Uncle Lu, saw me and smiled. He was a kind man, a poor woodcutter who had still lent us money when I was sick. He warned me to stay in the village for now because Wang Hu and his men were planning to cause trouble. I thanked him and kept that in mind. Then I started shooting arrows at a wooden target. The bow was a simple black longbow, the same one my father once used to take down wild boars. I wasn't nearly that skilled yet, but I had to start somewhere. The first arrow hit the target, and the system told me my archery skill went up by 2 points. I got excited, it really worked. But the second shot only gave me 1 point. I figured out why. The first time, I was full of anger thinking about Wang Hu and Master Huang, so I focused harder. When I relaxed, the improvement was smaller. So I made a decision. Every time I drew my bow, I imagined the target was Wang Hu's face. Arrow after arrow flew out, and my skill kept climbing. I was hungry, but I didn't care. I even started thinking about using knowledge from my past life to build a crossbow. In the afternoon, Shui came back with 2 pounds of rice and half a pound of meat. I was happy. Tonight we would eat well. By dinner time, I had pushed my archery skill to 81%. I was so close to the next level. Dinner was millet, a bowl of meat, and some vegetables. Every bite I took gave me points in my nutrient absorption skill. The meat gave me 5 points, the rice 3, and the vegetables 2. By the end of the meal, that skill was already at 53%, growing even faster than my archery. After eating, I told Shui I was going back out to practice before dark. I didn't notice the worried look on her face or the quiet sigh she let out as I walked away. I stood in the dim light, drew my bow, and kept shooting. Each arrow felt smoother than the last. I focused, stayed calm, and let my determination guide every shot. About 2 hours later, the system lit up with new messages. My archery had reached the skilled level and evolved into basic archery. I had awakened a beginner talent called 100-step precision. My strength went up by 2, and my spirit by 1. I stared at the panel, my heart pounding with excitement. I hadn't expected this much progress in just one day. The moment my archery leveled up, memories about shooting flooded into my head. It felt like I had been practicing for years. A warm energy flowed through my body, and I could feel myself getting stronger. I gripped the bow, opened my eyes, and fired without even aiming carefully. The arrow hit the center of the target in the dark. I smiled. For the first time since arriving in this world, I felt like I could actually protect myself. Night had fallen over Haishan village. The village sat at the foot of Black Mountain, and people always locked their doors early because monsters sometimes came down from the hills. Strange cries echoed from the mountains in the distance. When I went inside, Schwerer was still waiting for me. Our home was a small mud brick house with just a few rooms. From the memories I inherited, the original Chin Feng hadn't been very close to her. He wanted a strong wife who could help with farm work, not someone thin and delicate like her. They had always kept their distance. But I wasn't the old Chin Feng anymore. I said a few words to her and went to my room. I lay on the hard wooden bed, listening to animal cries from the mountains, thinking about everything. This strange new life, the debts hanging over me, the danger all around. Then, quietly, Schwerer slipped under my blanket. She was trembling. "Husband, I'm a little scared," she whispered. I held her hand to comfort her. The next morning, I woke up and saw her small hand resting on my arm. I smiled. The loneliness I had been carrying since coming to this world felt a little lighter. Then I checked my system panel and got a surprise. A new skill had appeared overnight, the yin-yang technique, already at 10%. I realized that if I kept at it, I could level this up too and maybe unlock another talent. The thought got me excited. Schwerer woke up and offered to make breakfast, but I told her to rest. I cooked 2 bowls of thin porridge myself. The system gave me 5 more points in nutrient absorption. I was improving, but I knew I needed meat to grow faster. I told Schwerer to lock the doors while I was gone and to call Aunt Lou next door if anything happened. She looked worried and asked me to rest a few more days, but I shook my head. I had no choice. Taxes were coming due. I owed Master Huang over 3 taels of silver, and I needed food to keep leveling up. I grabbed my father's old bow, a machete, and a dozen arrows, and headed toward Black Mountain. Once I reached the forest, I started setting up traps, small ones for birds and rabbits. I wasn't planning to go deep. Each trap I built raised my trapping skill a little. After setting up dozens of them, I looked up at the birds circling above and felt hopeful. At least I shouldn't go home empty-handed today. Then I heard rustling behind me. I narrowed my eyes and turned around. Several figures stepped out from the trees. It was Wang Hu and his men. He looked at my traps and laughed in my face. "You call yourself a hunter? These childish tricks. Do you really think you can catch anything with them?" I gripped my bow tight and pulled an arrow. "Wang Hu, what are you doing here?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. They had followed me. Wang Hu didn't even try to hide it. He laughed and said Master Huang had sent them to teach me a lesson. Then he ordered the Yang brothers to attack. Yang Bao mocked me as they charged forward. They thought my archery was terrible. The old Chin Feng could barely hit anything. They didn't even bother dodging. That was their mistake. I drew my bow to full length and fired. The arrow flew straight and hit Yang Hao in the throat. He dropped to the ground instantly. My system flashed, archery skill +5 from a single kill. I was shocked at how much I gained. Before Yang Bao could even react, I knocked another arrow and let it fly. He tried to say something, but the arrow caught him in the neck too. He felt just like his brother. I let out a breath and turned my bow toward Wang Hu. "You're next," I said. I fired, but this time something different happened. Wang Hu crossed his arms over his throat and blocked the arrow. I noticed iron coils wrapped around his forearms. My heart sank. He was trained. Maybe not a full martial artist, but close enough. In a tight space like this, I couldn't beat him with arrows alone. I turned and ran into the forest. Wang Hu chased after me, shouting threats. I kept shooting at him while I ran, but he blocked every arrow aimed at his throat. So I changed my target. I aimed low and hit him in the leg. He screamed in pain, snapped the arrow shaft, and kept coming, even angrier than before. The system told me he was at something called the skin refining stage. Hitting him gave me even more experience than killing the Yang brothers. That gave me an idea. If I could level up my archery one more time during this fight, I might be able to finish him. Then something new happened. As I sprinted through the trees, dodging branches and jumping over roots, the system lit up again. I had awakened a new skill, forest running. I kept the pressure on, firing arrows to slow him down and setting small traps behind me. Wang Hu smashed through some of the traps, but every action I took was raising my skills. I could feel myself getting better with every passing minute. My trapping skill was climbing fast. Every trap I set, and every trap Wang Hu triggered gave me more points. As I ran and fought, I realized this whole chase wasn't just about the hunting permit. Huang Laosi clearly wanted me dead. That thought made my blood boil. They were targeting my family without any fear. I clenched my jaw and kept moving. My forest running skill was changing the way I moved. The deeper I went into the thick forest, the more natural it felt. Bushes and thorns that should have slowed me down barely touched me. It was like the forest was opening a path just for me. So I deliberately headed into the densest parts, knowing it would make things harder for Wang Hu. Wang Hu was furious. He could see me just ahead, but every time he almost caught up, I slipped away again. He kicked apart my traps and cursed, but he couldn't close the gap. Then he snapped. He shouted something about his iron arm technique and unleashed his full power. His energy surged, his face turned red, and the iron rings on his arms gleamed as he charged forward. He smashed through trees and bushes like they were nothing, tearing a path straight toward me. I felt the ground shake behind me. When I looked back, my stomach dropped. So this was what a martial artist could do. My arrows barely scratched his legs now, and the ones aimed higher just bounced off his iron-wrapped arms. I stopped thinking and just ran. But then, right when I needed it most, the system lit up. My forest running skill leveled up, and I awakened a new talent, steady steps. My speed in forests increased by 10%. I felt energy flow into my legs, and suddenly my body felt lighter. One step, and I shot forward like an arrow. Wang Hu's face went pale with shock. A moment ago, he had almost grabbed me, and now I was pulling away. He must have thought I was a martial artist too. I laughed and fired several arrows back at him. 2 hit his left knee. He screamed my name and charged even harder, blinded by rage. That was exactly what I wanted. I led him into a thick patch of thorny bushes. With my steady steps talent, I moved through it like flat ground. Wang Hu crashed after me, smashing every trap in his path, thinking they were useless. He didn't notice my smile getting wider. Then the system flashed again. My trapping skill had reached a new level, and I awakened another talent, skillful hands. I grinned to myself. Fighting really was the fastest way to grow. If I hadn't unlocked steady steps earlier, Wang Hu would have caught me already. Now I had 2 new talents in a single chase. Looking at my growing list of skills and talents, one thought burned brighter than ever. I had to become a real martial artist. And with this system, I knew nothing could stop me. The new talent, skillful hands, boosted my trap speed and damage by 10% each, and even raised my spirit. On top of that, dozens of trap designs suddenly appeared in my mind, like I had known them my whole life. I kept leading Wang Hu deeper into the forest. After a long chase, he smashed through another thorny bush and suddenly froze. Something about the area seemed to shake him. In that split second of hesitation, I fired an arrow. He shattered it with his fists and charged at me again. This time, I didn't run. I just stood there and smiled. Wang Hu laughed, thinking he had me. But the moment he stepped forward, a sharpened bamboo stake shot up from the ground and pierced his foot. He screamed. Before he could pull free, 4 more stakes launched at him from all sides. He smashed 2, dodged 1, but the last one drove straight through his waist. His face went white. He couldn't believe I had set all this up right under his nose. He broke the bamboo off and tried to retreat. I called out to him. You wanted to kill me. You think you can just walk away? He sneered and said even injured, killing me would be easy. But I wasn't afraid anymore. From 50 meters away, I drew my bow. He tried to stall me, shouting about my father, asking if I wanted to know why he died, why Master Huang targeted our family. For a moment, those words tugged at me. But I didn't hesitate. I fired 2 arrows. He blocked one with his iron fist. The other went straight through his heart. Wang Hu fell to the ground, eyes wide open, unable to believe he had lost to someone like me. I stood there breathing hard. That fight had pushed me to my limit. The system told me I gained 10 points in archery for killing a first-grade warrior. I looked at Wang Hu's body and noticed his skin had a faint gray layer, almost like armor. That must have been why my arrows barely hurt him earlier. I searched his body and found about 3 taels of silver and a thick stack of banknotes, the smallest one worth 50 taels. I couldn't believe a hunting captain had this much money. But what excited me most was a small booklet tucked inside his clothes. The Iron Fist Technique, a basic martial art. This had to be how Wang Hu trained. I finally had a path to becoming a real warrior. I wanted to leave the mountain fast, but when I checked my surroundings, my heart sank. The chase had pushed me all the way to the border between the outer forest and the core of Black Mountain, the exact place where the old Qin Feng had seen a monster and died from fear 3 days ago. I moved quickly toward the edge, but then I reached a familiar spot, Green Wolf Valley. My blood started flowing faster on its own. On the ground, I could see brownish bloodstains from the monster's attack. Something was pulling me toward them. My nutrient absorption skill started flickering on the panel. I knew I should leave, but curiosity got the better of me. I crept closer and reached down to touch the strange brown mark on the ground. The moment my fingers made contact, a sharp pain shot through my hand. The bloodstain vanished completely, and new information appeared on my panel. The system told me I had absorbed a drop of something called Evil God's Blood, heavily diluted, just 1/10,000th of its original strength. But even that tiny amount boosted my nutrient absorption skill by 15 points. I wondered what would happen if I found more, but there was nothing left on the ground. The inner region of Black Mountain clearly held secrets, but I wasn't strong enough to explore it yet. I had already gained more than I ever expected today. I hurried out of the dangerous area. On my way back, I passed the spot where I had killed Wang Hu and the Yang brothers. Wild animals had already found the bodies. They were barely recognizable. I gave up trying to hide the evidence and kept moving. I checked my status as I walked. My skills had grown a lot in just one day. My nutrient absorption was at 96%, almost ready to level up. My archery, trapping, and running skills had all improved. I had 3 beginner talents now and even carried the Iron Fist Technique manual I took from Wang Hu. I smiled to myself. Going into the mountains had been the right choice. I shot 2 wild rabbits on my way down and carried them home. Some villagers watched me with envy, whispering about my luck. Others were more worried. They had seen Wang Hu follow me into the mountains, and now only I had come back. I ignored all of them. When I was sick and dying, none of them had cared. When I got home, Schwer was waiting by the table looking worried. Her face lit up when she saw me, and her eyes went wide when she noticed the rabbits. I told her to cook one for dinner. Meanwhile, at the Huang family estate, Master Huang Haixing, was getting reports about me. He couldn't understand how an ordinary man like me had survived when Wang Hu hadn't returned. He suspected Wang Hu might have run off with his money. He ordered his steward to track Wang Hu down. He also mentioned something strange, a special child, and said they couldn't rush things. I didn't know any of this at the time. At dinner, I ate most of the rabbit myself. Every bite pushed my nutrient absorption skill higher. The rice gave me 2 points, the rabbit gave me 3, and then it happened. The skill leveled up to proficient, and I awakened a new talent, innate strength. My strength went up by 2, my spirit by 1, and my speed by 1. But the real gift was the talent itself. From now on, everything I ate would turn into energy to strengthen my body, with a daily limit of 1 point of growth. I could feel the change immediately. My muscles tightened and hardened. The thin, weak body I had woken up in was already starting to look different. Faint lines of muscle were forming across my arms and chest. I opened my eyes, filled with excitement. This talent was exactly what a future martial artist needed. But then, just as quickly, my expression changed. The moment my new talent awakened, my body started transforming. My muscles tightened, my bones felt stronger, but then a terrible hunger hit me like a wave. Every part of my body was screaming for food. Under Schwenner's shocked eyes, I wolfed down several bowls of rice, then cleaned and steamed the second rabbit and ate the whole thing before I finally felt full. Schwer looked worried, but I told her it was just from training. She seemed relieved. In this world, People had heard stories of martial artists eating enormous amounts of food, so she believed me without question. After dinner, I sat by the lamp and opened the Iron Fist Technique manual. The first pages explained how martial arts worked in this world. Warriors were ranked from 1 to 9, with 9 being the highest. A first-rank warrior's body went through a transformation, starting with the skin, then flesh, tendons, bones, and organs. Even the lowest rank, with just skin transformation, could easily beat several ordinary men. That explained why my arrows barely hurt Wang Hu. His hardened skin had blocked most of the damage. I started worrying. If Wang Hu was just a first-rank warrior and already that tough, how strong were the others in the Huang family? And now that Wang Hu was dead, would they come after me? I couldn't sleep. Under the moonlight, I began practicing the Iron Fist technique step by step. The manual mentioned special medicines needed for training, but those pages had been torn out. That would stop most people, but I had my system. I didn't need medicines to improve. After one full round of practice, my panel showed 1% progress. A few more rounds brought it to 3%. By then it was fully dark, and I was exhausted from the long day. I decided to rest and continue tomorrow. At this pace, I felt I could reach the next level in just a few days. Wang Hu had spent decades reaching his limit with this technique. I was moving hundreds of times faster. I smiled at Shuer and told her it was time to sleep. That night was peaceful and warm. The next morning, I woke up feeling refreshed. My system showed that my yin-yang technique had gained 10 points overnight, reaching 20%. It seemed there was a daily limit of about 10 points, but that was still good progress. I decided not to go into the mountains that day. Instead, I would stay home and focus on practicing the Iron Fist technique. I was confident I could handle a first-rank warrior now, but a second-rank one was still beyond me. With Shuer at home, I didn't want to take unnecessary risks. What I didn't know was that at the Huang estate, things were getting dangerous. Huang Haixing had learned that Wang Hu was dead. His butler, Lu Hao, reported finding the bodies near Green Wolf Valley. Huang Haixing wasn't fooled by the wild animal story. He knew a first-rank warrior wouldn't die to beasts so easily. They talked about something that chilled me, though I wouldn't learn about it until later. Apparently, before I arrived in this body, the old Qin Feng had been hit by something called demonic energy that should have killed him. Even a first-rank warrior would die from it. The fact that I survived made them suspicious. Lu Hao wondered if I might be a gifted one, but Huang Haixing dismissed the idea. Then Huang Haixing gave cold orders. Keep the Green Wolf Valley situation secret from something called the Demon Patrol Division. Investigate what really happened to Wang Hu, and deal with me in the coming days. He also mentioned a strange child connected to me, something I knew nothing about yet. I spent the whole day in my courtyard, practicing the Iron Fist technique over and over. Each time I completed a round, my proficiency ticked up. By the end of the morning, I was at 24%. I thought about finding special medicines to speed things up. The manual mentioned them, but the recipes had been torn out. Buying tonics in Haishi City was an option, but the city was 70 miles away through the mountains, and with the hunting team's leader dead, no one would be traveling there anytime soon. So I decided to just keep training with what I had. I went to the village grain shop and bought several dozen pounds of rice and a few pounds of pork. After eating well at lunch, my nutrient absorption skill went up a bit more. I practiced all afternoon and pushed the Iron Fist technique to 45% by nightfall. Nobody from the Huang family came to bother me, which helped me relax a little. My plan was simple: keep my head down and get stronger. The next morning, I could feel the difference. My innate strength talent had added another point of strength overnight, just from the food I ate. My yin-yang technique was at 30% now too. I was growing in every direction at once. I was about to start training again when things got lively next door. Uncle Lu's son, Lu Yuan, had come back from Blackstone City. He was my childhood friend, a big, tall young man, nearly 2 meters, with broad shoulders and a powerful build. He had been sent to work at a blacksmith shop in the city a year ago. He spotted me going through the Iron Fist movements and asked if I was practicing martial arts. I told him I was just exercising a little. He warned me not to train on my own without guidance or medicine, saying I could hurt myself. That got me curious. I asked him what he knew about learning martial arts in the city. He told me there were several paths. You could pay to study at a martial arts school. There were dozens in Blackstone City. You could join a local gang and learn that way. You could serve a powerful family that had its own techniques. And then there was the hardest path of all, joining the Demon Patrol Division. My ears perked up at that name. Lu Yuan explained that the Demon Patrol Division was the most powerful organization in the Great Qin Empire. They handled everything related to demons, and even the county magistrate had no authority over them. If you could pass their tests, you would learn true martial arts and your status would rise to a completely different level. I thought about the monster I had seen at Green Wolf Valley and the drop of evil god's blood I had absorbed. If anyone could explain what those things were, it would be the Demon Patrol Division. I asked Lu Yuan how to join, but he shook his head. He only knew they recruited powerful warriors and rare talents, nothing more. Then I asked him something that had been on my mind for a while. Would the Huang family count as one of those powerful families that trained their own warriors? I needed to know how strong they really were, because if they weren't too powerful, I was already thinking about getting rid of them for good. Lu Yuan told me the Huang family wasn't that powerful, just 3 to 5 trained warriors, enough to guard their farmland. Real powerful families in the county had dozens of warriors and at least one mid-level expert. But he mentioned something that caught my attention. There was a strong clan in Blackstone City called Huang Manor, and he wasn't sure if they were connected to our local Huang family. If they were, that would be a serious problem. He also warned me to be careful in the mountains. Lately, many unfamiliar warriors had been showing up in Blackstone City, searching for something. His blacksmith shop had been flooded with weapon orders. Before he left, he told me I could visit him at the Yang family blacksmith shop if I ever went to the city. After he went home, I stood there thinking. Gangs, families, officials, powerful lords. This world was heading into troubled times. Our little Heishan village was just a tiny dot in the vast Great Qin dynasty, with its 9 provinces and 36 prefectures. I was at the very bottom of it all. I decided the safest thing was to stay home and keep training. That evening, my iron fist technique reached 91%. I was too excited to sleep, so I kept practicing under the night sky. My punches had changed. They were slow but heavy, and the air hummed with each swing. Lu Yuan glanced out his window and watched me for a while, but he just sighed, thinking I was a man past his prime trying to learn basic moves without a teacher. He had no idea what was really happening. Then it came. My iron fist technique broke through to the proficient level, and I awakened a new talent, exceptional arm strength. My arms could now unleash twice my normal power. Strength went up by 2, speed by 1. I felt energy surge through my arms as my muscles and bones transformed. But the best part was what appeared on my status panel. My cultivation had reached first rank, skin refining stage. I was finally a real martial artist. When I touched my skin, it felt tougher, harder. If I met Wang Hu now, I wouldn't need to run. One punch would finish him. I smiled to myself and went inside to rest. Shuer looked worried about how late I had been training, but I told her everything was fine. The night was quiet, but in the middle of it, my eyes snapped open. I sensed something outside the door. Someone was there. What I didn't know yet was everything happening behind the scenes. At the Huang estate, Huang Haixing had learned that news about a secret realm hidden in Black Mountain had leaked to Blackstone City. Warriors were already flooding into the area. Furious that his family's discovery was slipping away, he had ordered Lu Hao to grab me that very night, to use me in some kind of ritual before anyone else could act. Now Lu Hao stood outside my house with a masked first-rank warrior, listening to our breathing through the walls. They thought this would be quick and easy, just a common villager and his wife. They had no idea I wasn't the same person anymore. The door crashed open in the middle of the night. A masked man rushed straight toward our room. But I was ready. Before he could even react, I threw a punch straight into his throat. He dropped to the ground without a sound. I told Shuer to stay inside and not move. Then I grabbed my bow and hatchet. When I pulled off the attacker's mask, rage flooded through me. I recognized him. He was one of Huang Haixing's men. That old snake had actually sent people to attack us in our own home. A few hundred meters away, I spotted another figure hiding in the darkness. Lu Hao, the Huang family steward. He was waiting for results. I fired an arrow at him. He barely dodged it, and his face went pale with shock. I charged at him and threw an iron fist punch. He blocked it, but the force sent him flying several meters back. He stared at me in disbelief. A martial artist? How did you suddenly become a martial artist? I didn't answer. I just attacked again with everything I had. He tried to fight back, but my talent, exceptional arm strength, made my punches twice as powerful as a normal warrior's. One devastating blow shattered his arms and crushed his chest. He collapsed, eyes wide open, and stopped breathing. I stood over his body, breathing hard. My hands were shaking, not from fear, but from excitement. Something inside me came alive during battle. I wondered if I was naturally drawn to fighting. The system confirmed it. I had awakened a new skill, battle intent. It seemed that combat itself was making me stronger in ways I hadn't expected. I needed to clean up. I looked around. No villagers had come outside. Everyone had locked their doors tight, too afraid to get involved. This world was different from my old one. People here knew better than to stick their noses into nighttime violence. I grabbed the two bodies, carried them to the edge of Black Mountain, and left them in the forest. The smell of blood would draw wild animals soon enough. I waited and watched from a distance until beasts dragged the corpses away into the darkness. I searched the bodies before dumping them. Lu Hao had a few hundred taels and silver notes, but no martial arts manuals, a disappointment. On the way back, I looked toward the Huang estate in the distance. The courtyard was lit up bright, with shadows moving around. Guards, warriors, dozens of people. I could feel my killing intent rising. I wanted to go in there and finish Huang Haixing tonight. But I held myself back. There were too many of them, and some were trained fighters. I wasn't strong enough yet. I told myself to be patient. Once I grew a little more, I would wipe them out. What I didn't know was that inside the estate, Huang Haixing was panicking. Lu Hao hadn't returned, and he couldn't understand why such a simple job was taking so long. He was actually planning to leave the area soon. Warriors from the city and even the Demon Patrol Division had been spotted near Black Mountain. He had packed up his valuables and was ready to run. But first, he wanted to grab me, or rather, something connected to me that he called a shadowy child. He sent another man in black to check on things. The man jumped onto the courtyard wall and headed in my direction. He never made it. I was perched in a large tree nearby, face covered with black cloth, bow drawn. The arrow flew through the night and hit him in the throat. He fell without a sound. My system told me my archery and battle intent both went up. I sat in that tree, staring down at the brightly lit Huang estate, my eyes burning. I whispered to myself, if I don't finish you tonight, I won't be able to sleep. I sat in the tree, staring down at the Huang estate, my blood boiling with anger. In just a few days since arriving in this world, Huang Haixing's people had tried to kill me again and again. I wasn't strong enough to fight the whole family head-on, but I couldn't just let it go. I had come out here hoping to cause some damage. What I saw surprised me. Huang Haixing was packing up and preparing to leave with a large group of people. I remembered what Lu Yuan had told me about unfamiliar warriors flooding into Blackstone City. Was Huang Haixing worried they would discover something in Black Mountain? Then pieces started clicking together in my mind. Huang, who had deliberately sent me toward Green Wolf Valley, knowing it was dangerous. The monsters, the evil god's blood. And now, I overheard Huang Haixing mention a shadowy child, and I realized with a chill that he was talking about Schwer. That was why the Huang family had been targeting us all along. It wasn't just about a hunting permit. There was something about Schwer they wanted. But I had too little information to understand the full picture. All I knew was that the Huang family might be connected to demons, and that was terrifying. After I killed the warrior they sent toward my house, the courtyard erupted into chaos. People shouted and gathered together. I counted far more fighters than the 3 to 5 I had been told about. Some of them could be second or even third-rank warriors. I needed to be extremely careful. I held still in the tree, barely breathing. Then my system flashed. I had awakened a new skill, stealth. Just by hiding successfully and fooling dozens of enemies, the skill had appeared. New knowledge about concealment flowed into my mind, and my hiding improved instantly. Huang Haixing called out into the darkness, offering 500 taels of silver to whoever was out there, trying to buy peace. I cursed under my breath. 500 taels, all stolen from ordinary people. I stayed quiet, knowing I couldn't reveal that I was just a beginner martial artist. If they found out, they would rush me without fear. Then I noticed something. A figure in all black slipped out from the corner of the courtyard, trying to sneak away. If I hadn't had my enhanced eyesight from the 100-step precision talent, I would have missed him completely. He was trying to circle around and find my position. I drew my bow and fired. He heard the arrow coming and shouted my direction to the others, trying to dodge at the same time. But my arrow punched straight through his heart. He screamed and fell dead. The courtyard went silent with shock. Then my system told me something that stunned me too. That man was a second-rank warrior. I had just killed someone a full rank above a normal fighter with a single arrow. My archery proficiency jumped by 20 points, and my battle intent surged. The Huang family having a second-rank warrior confirmed my suspicion. This wasn't just some rich landlord. Huang Haixing was hiding something much darker. I didn't stop. While the courtyard was still in chaos, I fired 2 more arrows in quick succession. 2 more throats. 2 more bodies hitting the ground. First-rank warriors, both of them. Then my system lit up with the message I had been waiting for. My basic archery had reached 100% and evolved to the mastery level. And my beginner talent, 100-step precision, was upgrading to an intermediate talent. My new talent was incredible, 3-star chain shot. Within 150 meters, I could fire 3 arrows in a row, fast enough to hit almost at the same time. Each arrow could pierce through a foot-thick wooden board. Against lower-rank warriors, that kind of power was almost impossible to block. I kept my position in the tree, watching the Huang courtyard descend into panic. Warriors were screaming, scrambling for cover, terrified of the invisible archer picking them off in the dark. Some thought the Demon Patrol Division had come. Others just wanted to run. Huang Haixing shouted over the chaos, trying to calm them down. He told them I couldn't be Demon Patrol. Their warriors were at least 4th rank and wouldn't bother with sneak attacks. He guessed I was only a 2nd or 3rd rank fighter and offered a bounty, 1,000 silver notes and 10 blood vitality pills to whoever killed me. That got people moving. 3 or 4 warriors charged toward my position, zigzagging through the dark, thinking they could dodge my arrows if they moved smart enough. I smiled and let them come. 3 arrows flew from my bow almost at once. 3 throats. 3 bodies hitting the ground at the same time. My new chain shot talent made it look effortless. My archery proficiency jumped again, and my battle intent skill climbed to 75%. I could feel myself getting sharper, more focused with every kill. What I didn't know was that someone else was watching everything from a hilltop about 1,000 meters away. He held some kind of compass that pointed toward the Huang estate, detecting what he called evil cult aura. He had been observing quietly, impressed by my archery. But when I fired 3 arrows at once and killed 3 men simultaneously, his expression changed to genuine shock. He recognized the technique, a triple arrow combo, and decided I was too valuable to let die. He started moving toward the battlefield. Back in the courtyard, Huang Haixing looked around at what was left. Out of his dozens of fighters, only 3 remained, all cowering behind walls and rocks, too terrified to move. They were convinced I was a 3rd-rank divine archer from the Demon Patrol. None of them would fight for any amount of money. Huang Haixing's face twisted with rage. He cursed them all and decided to come after me himself. He shouted that he would kill me and then find the evil child, confirming again that Schwerer was at the center of all this. Then something happened that made my stomach drop. A porcelain bottle appeared in Huang Haixing's hand. Whatever was inside it, I could feel the danger radiating from it. Even the mysterious watcher on the distant hill reacted with alarm. Huang Haixing pulled out a small white porcelain bottle filled with bright red blood. The moment it appeared, my nutrient absorption skill started trembling, the same feeling I had when I touched the evil god's blood in Green Wolf Valley. I stared at that bottle with hungry eyes, already thinking of it as mine. Then Huang Haixing drank it. My heart sank. His power exploded instantly. He went from hiding like an ordinary man to a 1st-rank warrior in seconds. But he didn't stop there. His eyes turned blood red. Red marks crawled across his skin, and his hair changed to a deep crimson. He was transforming into something half-demon. So I was right. The Huang family was connected to demons. In this world, anyone allied with demons was part of what people called the demon cult, followers of evil gods. And Huang Haixing was one of them. He spotted me and went wild with rage. He screamed my name and threatened to kill both me and Schwerer. That stopped me cold. I wasn't running from this. I fired my 3-star chain shot, all 3 arrows aimed at his vital points. He punched the first one apart, but the other 2 pierced through his arms. Blood sprayed from his mouth, and his left arm went limp. I smiled. He looked terrifying, but he couldn't stop my arrows. But then he did something desperate. He pulled out the rest of the evil god's blood and drank every last drop. His power surged again, all the way to 4th rank. His speed doubled. I fired another chain shot, but this time he powered through the damage and closed the distance. He reached me and swung with everything he had.